Hi.
And welcome to Once Upon a TCG, where we're here another week talking about probably one of the most important princess characters.
Probably the most important Disney movie.
Okay, Disney movie. But she's also a princess character.
Which, thank God, we finally got there.
Yeah, because we all know that I love my princesses. We're gonna be talking about Snow White. And I just want to also say that Snow White was the very first enchanted card I ever pulled.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so like
The first Snow
enchanted.
White?
No, the second one. Chapter. I think it's in set 2.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, the set 2 Snow White
Not the
enchanted.
chapter 5 one.
No, because
Okay.
you pulled that, and
I
then that is my very
did.
first trade I did with you.
Yeah, she traded me the Donald Duck enchanted.
So and that so the Snow White Enchanteds are near dear in my heart. So I'm really excited to be talking about her.
Yes, and the Snow White movie is near and dear to my heart because of what it means to the history of the company.
I know, but like the new remake of the Snow White movie was not good. Hey Prince Ald, how are you? Thanks for coming on.
Oh my God, hi. Yeah, I have a lot to say about that movie.
About the Snow White movie?
First of all, I feel like what's her face took a lot of backlash that was unnecessary. The girl who played her.
Unnecessary backlash, you think?
Yeah, I like that girl.
I mean, like I don't know, like I understand, like I like her too. Like I have nothing against her, but it's more of the fact, like
She was a little rude sometimes, but also I think she's very talented. I just think she could sing
Okay.
well. But also, there should have been so many necessary steps involved to make sure like that was the best.
like
They
choice
should have said,
for Snow
"Oh
White.
my God, we're remaking Snow White. This should be the best one." And it feels like those steps were involved with the upcoming Lilo and Stitch for some reason,
Which is fine.
which is fine. Like I'm excited for Lilo and Stitch, but like that's kind of like one from the 2000s, and also I don't know.
But still, so the movie had a lot of backlash, but the original one was probably one of like the better ones.
The original Snow White.
Yeah.
I would. Yes. Yes.
And
Definitely.
Ben has so much history to talk about
Yes, we'll get there.
because he's
Of
a history nerd.
And okay, and of how important it is to the history of the company Disney and history of animation, really.
And then while he's telling us, I'm going to get a very exclusive product that involves Snow White. So we have a lot of things that are gonna be happening.
Oh.
Let's get started. You're gonna see.
Oh my God.
Okay, so should we start with the Loricana cards?
Let's start with the cards, and I do have something to say. We are going to be sharing all the Snow White cards. I believe there's 45 of them. We're gonna maybe
45 cards, Ben.
Yeah, we're gonna maybe blaze past a couple.
did not think
a
about it.
couple of the irrelevant cards. We're just gonna be like, wasn't relevant. The art was nice.
I just want to let everybody know I was not on board with 45 Snow White cards.
I told you ahead of time. We're gonna be doing all the Snow White cards.
Okay, let's go. Voila. Okay, so Magic Mirror. I just want to also let everybody know Ben wanted to call this podcast Mirror Mirror on the Wall.
That's a good name.
It was not a bad name,
Oh
but
my
it's who's
God.
the fairest of them all. Allie.
Just because it's you doesn't mean it's like, what are we doing here?
So, this card was really used in set 1.
Set 1, we used this a lot. Can you imagine paying 4 to draw a card? 1 card? Well, guess what? We all were doing it all the time.
And like,
And it's so bad. You would never use this card now.
yeah, you really don't. And honestly, I don't even really think people use Poison Apple either.
I've seen the items deck, red, blue items, use this card.
Using Poison
because
Apple?
you can kill a princess character with it.
Okay.
You can kill a Rapunzel with this.
Oh, so sad.
I know that's like horrible for you to think about.
I know. I don't want to think about my princess.
Another next card, the Queen, another character we used to use in set 1 only. It's so irrelevant now,
It's so irrelevant.
but I like the art. Keep going, Allie. We got 45 cards.
This card, the Queen, very widely used.
Very
in,
still very widely
in
set too.
yes, and it's also used in more of like the steel song decks. Like your whole goal for this is to turn to shift the big queen, which we're gonna get to.
Yes, which is coming up. Sleepy play.
One of the Snow White drawers, you know that they had to have it.
And you know what? There's 7 of them.
And like you would think that they would make them like a little bit better, like if you're more creative by like building like a 7 drawers
Drawers
deck.
deck.
But it's not a good deck to build at all.
But
these drawers don't do anything.
But I would say this is one of the better ones.
Yeah, but like even so, like you know how like the drawers, they do a lot in the Snow White movie. Hi ho,
yes.
hi ho, off to work we go. They do not do any work in La Arcana.
No, they're not that good.
No, you're inking them.
Okay, Sleepy's Flute,
I did
another meta card.
I did not know that Sleepy's Flute was from Snow
What
White.
did you think it was? It's made by Sleepy. It's Sleepy's Flute.
I never put 2 and 2 together.
Okay.
Not one part of me put 2 and 2 together.
Okay, for a while we used this card a lot in Amber Seal songs.
But it is kind of like more of like a slower pace game. I would say this is like a slower pace one, right?
Yeah, I think it's too slow now.
Yeah, so like it's almost like the book in purple.
Oh yeah, I forgot what that was called.
Yeah,
we'll
me
get there.
too. So like the
When
book.
we do the Merlin cards, we'll do that.
Yeah. So like it's way too slow now.
Sneezy, irrelevant. Sad, but I like him.
These 2 cards are not really used either. But this wasn't this.
You know what we're gonna find out during this whole time?
That none of the Snow White cards are relevant,
It's really sad.
except for there's one, the mine.
No. That's a lie. I meant Snow White herself.
Oh yeah, Snow White herself.
None of the Snow White
she
herself
sucks.
cards are relevant, which is really sad. But I like the picture on both of these, especially the uninkable one.
That is pretty.
I really like that one with all the woodland critters.
Woodland critters. Huntsman.
I feel like Steel Decks used this like for a week. Could be wrong. Continue. Doc, this is the best dwarf.
Why?
Because you don't remember this?
No.
People use this. It lowers the cost of your
Oh
next character
yes,
you play.
yes, I did use this card at one point.
Yeah, this card was good at
At
some
first,
point.
I thought he was saying that the doc it was the best.
No,
dwarf.
I'm not
like,
saying
in the
it's-
movie. I was like, how? Why are you choosing one dwarf over the other? Like, what?
I mean, there is a best dwarf.
Who's the best dwarf?
Dopey.
In your opinion?
Oh.
And here, oh my God! Speaking of Dopey,
Speaking of
it's like
Dopey,
you
he's so
literally
cute.
read my mind.
Next this is a very interesting card. This is the Queen, but to get the lore, you discard a card. I feel like a lot of people tried to make decks off of this and were very unsuccessful.
I agree, but like the artwork on this card,
I really like the picture.
Me too. I feel like this would be like honestly like a pretty cool enchanted
I was just
card.
thinking that. This would be a great enchanted.
Yeah, the prince, a bodyguard.
This is another card people used a lot. Not really used anymore. Kind of outclassed by now. Bashful.
I feel like this one should have been better because it's a 2/5. You
Can't
get 3
quest
lore.
unless you have another 7 dwarf in play. That's the problem.
Hi guys.
Bye. Does it work if you have 2 bashfuls? Can you quest?
I think yeah.
I guess you gotta play 2
Or like
bashfuls.
honestly, we'd have to call the Loracana judge.
Well, we know Allie is the main Lorcana judge.
Grumpy.
Grumpy, not used. That's probably the second best dwarf.
Oh
I'm
my
making
God.
this. I'm ranking right here.
I think Happy is like one of the better drawers.
Abby
as
is a good
well.
one. Yeah.
Just because like obviously he's happy all the time. Like who doesn't want to be around happy people?
I don't know. The Queen. This is probably the. Is this the best Snow White card?
Yeah.
I can think of one other one that's competes with it. We'll get to that.
I don't know if I know it.
It comes later. It's set 5. The Queen, Steel Song uses this it's either this or Robin Hood they're playing.
Exactly.
This next Snow White, I think needs a second chance. I think they should reprint this because I don't know, we didn't mention it, but they're doing rotation, and some of the cards are getting reprinted. I think they should reprint
We'll go
this
into
card.
that later.
Well, we don't need to talk about it right now. Snow White, I think, needs a second chance. I think it's a good card that never really saw the right time to be played. Also, I like the picture. I don't know what you think about that.
I love the picture.
No, it could have been good at some point.
This one?
Yeah. It's kind of like Perdita, but it could do any character.
I agree with that. Like, 'cause,
And
like, you would want sometimes your characters to come from the grave.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh man, I just wish I had that character.
Now let me ask you a question, Ellie. Next card. Would you play with the Enchanted if it became good?
I would love to, but I don't know if I'm allowed to. Okay, so the thing is, I have a really beautiful Enchanted Princess collection. I have this card. It's my first one.
Remind me if I'm wrong, you have every Princess Enchanted.
I do now. I finished it. But I'm afraid because sometimes my cards get lost in my hands and they come underneath my chair and I crinkle my cards.
Only one time has this happened.
And
But
this card
it's
is
a very famous incident around these
that
cards.
everybody likes to bring up and why Allie can't play with Enchanteds.
Now, I do also have a complete Enchanted collection, and it's of the Winnie the Pooh cards. And for some reason, Allie thinks her collection's better. Mine's only 2, but keep going. The Queen, not used. The Queen's Castle, however,
Widely used.
still meta relevant. It's in my deck right now.
You put it back in red purple.
I put it over library, and let me tell you, I'm loving it.
Really?
Those 2 lore are working. And
They're putting in the work.
everything's evasive, so it all sticks on the castle. So you always get the draws.
This blue queen, not used.
Not used.
Like, no.
Let me say one thing though. I've grown a lot of appreciation for the Queen because of Lorcana.
I've actually grown appreciation for the queen by watching that show, Once Upon a Time.
Okay, I never watched that show.
I loved it, and like honestly, she is just very misunderstood, and she has a big heart.
Me too. This-
Make the potion.
I didn't know this card existed before I made this list.
To be honest with you, I didn't either. When I saw that,
I was like, what? What are we doing here? Okay, next card though, I love that. It's one of my favorite cards in the game. The blue steel item deck that they had to ban stupid Hiram from.
and Fortisphere, because you said blue steel, so don't forget they had 2
Fortisphere.
cards from that deck.
This card was used in it, and I think it might have been my favorite deck in the history of the game. More than red purple. I loved that deck. Getting a lucky dime off of these things, nothing was better. And I want this Enchanted.
This is such a nice Enchanted.
I really want this card. And my friend has it, and they won't trade it to me.
Who's that?
His name is Aaron.
Oh, because it's not me, guys.
No,
just
it's
so you
not.
know. I guess he has
It's
other
not.
friends.
Keep going.
Happy.
Happy.
And like this is Happy in a different outfit, not his
Now we're getting
usual.
into where the dwarves were knights. Damn Aaron. Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous, Matt. This Happy was used because it gets evasive on the turn and does 2 damage. The Queen, however, no one cares.
No one
Now,
cares.
this is the other best dwarf.
This is the best dwarf.
This
You're
is the
right.
best Snow White card. Doc.
And it's
Every-
widely used in purple steel.
And honestly, a lot of other steel decks use it too. Basically, when you play it, you discard your hand, draw 2. But you're only going to play it when you have nothing in your hand or useless cards in your hand. So you're basically just drawing 2 when you play them. The next card, Seven Dwarfs Mine, one of the most used locations in the game. It's very stupid, and I don't like it. It does damage to all my characters.
Sleepy. I'm feeling a little sleepy today.
Me too. I look like that guy. The 0-4 Bodyguard. I think they just announced the 0-4 Bodyguard, and I was like, oh wow, 0-4 Bodyguard. That's pretty good. That already existed.
And we didn't think this card
I didn't
was
think
any
about
good.
it. Dopey. He's got a giant sword.
I'm
That's it.
kind of afraid with him and that giant sword.
If there's one character in Disney who shouldn't have a giant sword,
It's Dopey.
Dopey should not have a giant
Just
sword.
like I shouldn't have a giant sword.
Well, we know that.
So it's like, why would Dopey have a giant sword?
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. And then Grumpy, I feel like they wanted him to be good, and he's a super rare. Why is Grumpy a super rare? He's useless.
Yeah.
The Queen, I like the picture because there's like 10 queens there. There's really
Kind of
only
like she's like staring at herself.
crazy. And anyway, no one used it. Bashful and Sneezy.
Ooh, do you see like the kind of like
the Aurora
yeah.
Borealis.
Ooh,
Wow.
look at that! Look at that terminology, Ben.
Yeah, no one used them. No one used this Queen.
I wanted this Snow White to be good.
It is cute. She's got a giant shield.
And this is the first time a princess is in a different outfit.
This is the first princess in a different outfit.
I'm pretty sure.
I'd like to take that bet with you.
Okay, let's take a bet. We'll do our research. We'll come on next time. And what is it? What's winner get?
Has to buy each other a pack. One
Okay,
pack.
a Loracana pack, and we'll open it here.
And we'll open it on, yes.
I'm just, I want a first chapter pack.
That doesn't count. Not first chapter. I saw what you did there. Cinderella Nights set 2. Prince Ald. Thank you, Prince Ald. You owe me a pack.
Oh, fine.
She needs that shield to parry Dopey's attack with a big sword.
Honestly, you're not wrong.
Keep going.
And then this is the enchanted that I traded with Ben to complete my princess collection.
Not only that, there was the Ariel shift in set 4. That was before this.
Okay. Okay, guys. Allie was wrong. Allie's always wrong. And now it's on camera that Allie's wrong.
Okay, then we have the Prince. I feel like Chernodog's used this.
I even used it in my deck.
This was decent. This is a decent card.
Because, it has a 5 body.
He's got a big booty.
Yeah.
Show me
Big
more.
booty Judy.
We'll get to the Enchanted. Each player draws 3 cards. I don't want to give my opponent 3 cards. I'd rather do anything else on this planet.
Then give your opponent 3 cards.
I'd rather slit my ring. Wait. Keep going.
Show me more enchanted. I actually pulled this on stream. If you guys were watching,
You pulled this on stream?
I did.
Oh.
When I was opening up the packs for set 7, I pulled this on stream. Very excited. The thing is, it was like a little dark, so I almost didn't even know I pulled it. But
I really like this Enchanted. It looks very
it's
pretty. This next Snow White, terrible in constructed gameplay. If you pulled this at the pre-release, you won the game and got this out. There's no way to kill this thing in set 7 cards. This thing is stupid if you play pre-release.
And then there's
The Queen, I've seen purple decks using this. I think it's a decent card.
honestly, I feel like you tried to get me to use it because of my yellow-purple deck, and I just couldn't get it to work.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, then
And
we have
then
some
the
promos.
promo of the Snow White that I was talking about. Okay, see, we went through fast.
We went through 45 cards really quickly.
Okay.
Because that's how irrelevant Snow White is.
Only in the game. She's important.
Correct. She's a very important character in the history.
In the history. Well, you want to move on to the history?
I think we might have to.
Okay, hold on.
This is all Ben here, guys.
I'm gonna load up my notes. Okay, so basically, up to this point, they were just making shorts. Disney was just making shorts. Mickey, and they had another series called the Up the Mic. Thank you, Matthew. They had Mickey, and Donald, Goofy, whatever, and then the Silly Symphony shorts.
Like you're talking like almost like YouTube shorts. I didn't think they had that back then.
Shorts, that's nothing like YouTube shorts. They were before you watched a movie, they would show them. Not a Disney movie, just any movie.
So like commercials.
If you want to think of them as that, then sure.
Okay.
I told you about this before Steamboat Willie, you remember?
Oh, like the little. Okay, yes.
It was like Steamboat Willie. They were making those kind of things.
Okay.
And then
you definitely did not use the word shorts. Because my mind went to like YouTube shorts, and I was like, YouTube was not invented.
Okay, so anyway, they had the Silly Symphonies, which were more like artistic shorts, and then the Silly Symphony, the first color short, It was called Flower and Trees. That was the first like colored cartoon.
Ooh, flower and trees.
Flowers and Trees. Sorry,
Flowers
I
and
might have
trees.
pronounced that wrong.
Makes
And
me think of a butterfly.
it was beautiful. The trees were dancing. It was great. And so then in the 1930s, early mid 1930s, Walt calls all the like main animators into a room, and he just sits there and he acted out the whole Snow White movie by himself.
By himself?
He acted it out. He did all the voices. He acted like there's a famous video. They show it in every single Disney documentary where he acts out the part of the witch when he's giving Snow White the apple.
Oh, that's kind of cool. I have to watch that.
It's really interesting. And then the whole animation studio was basically bet on this movie. There was no. This is the first full-length animated movie.
So Snow White was the first full-length animated movie.
This is the first animated movie.
Okay.
So
Good. Cheers to Snow White.
So basically, I know I said he was kind of risking everything with Mickey. Not even close to as big of a risk
With Snow
as
White.
Snow White. Snow White, he put every single dollar into the movie. He was betting, he was mortgaging his house, he was putting every single dollar into this movie.
He really believed in himself. I just
So
can't get that enough.
and not only that, every single person who he told about this movie said, "Don't do that." They said, "Do not. You're wasting your money. It's never gonna work. No one is gonna sit there and watch an hour and a half cartoon because, like I said, everyone's used to cartoons being 20 minutes less."
Yeah.
So
He was, like, just changing
literally,
the game.
literally never been done before. So. So they used every technique, and something you have to know is movies are filmed in 24 frames per second to this day.
Okay.
That means every second of Snow White, and honestly all the hand-drawn animation movies, every second of it is 24 drawings that they had to draw by hand.
That's kind of cool. Wow.
That's insane.
24 drawings of each second. So if a movie's like 60 minutes long, so 60 times 60 seconds in a minute.
It's like thousands and thousands of drawings. And if it's like if Snow White has her hand here and has her hand here, they have to draw that.
It's like the flip book.
It's
like,
basically what an animated movie is a giant flip book. And recorded with a camera.
That's kind of cool.
So
We learn something new every day, guys.
So not only was he making this movie, and not only was it a huge risk, and he was spending all this money, you have to think he was doing this during the Great Depression. It cost him $1.5 million to make, which was a little, if you translated that to today's money, it's a little over $33 million, which actually isn't a lot for an animated movie because, you know, like Toy Story costs, like Toy Story 4 costs like, I'm sure like $200 million to make. But like, it's a lot back then during the Great Depression. That's
when
insane.
like money was like so tight.
And remember what I said. Everyone said this movie is going to fail. You are going to lose the studio on this movie. This movie comes out. It made $8 million at the box office. Over $177 million today. 100. There are movies that come out today and don't make $177 million in
And
today's
he did
money.
it as like the first animation movie.
It was basically one of the.
It's incredible.
It was literally like the Avengers Endgame of the 1930s.
Okay,
Like,
I've never seen Avengers Endgame.
but like, you know, it was a big movie.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. And
Wait, hold on. Can we just like talk about how like incredible that is? Like he believed in himself so much
and this is
that he put all of his eggs in one basket and ran with that movie.
And this is probably one of, I would say, 3 times that he does it. And one of 3, this is the first time of 3 that he really does that. And it debuted at the Carthay Circle Theater in Hollywood, and which is now the icon of California Adventure. when you walk down the main street in California Adventure when you first walk in, the theater at the end of the
That's
street.
where it viewed. I was just there in January. I had no idea.
That big building at the end is a copy of where the Snow White debuted. There's a restaurant in there.
Oh my gosh.
And there's a mini one in Hollywood Studios at Disney World where there's a store in it. So yeah.
I wish I knew that when I was there. I feel like I
sorry.
would have appreciated it
You
a
would
little bit more.
You probably looked at it and were like, "What's this random building?" But yes,
It was a little out of place there.
you were like, "Why is this so big?"
Yeah, like I
yeah,
didn't really know.
you didn't know why it was the icon of the. Yeah, it's because Snow White debuted there.
That's so cool.
And the success of the movie paid for a new animation, like a whole brand new animation campus. They basically used the money they got from it
And
to
reinvested into themselves.
Basically, yeah.
That's like really smart business practices, though.
And then, like, if you think about it, how many movies from the I could think of 2 kids movies from the 1930s that we're watching now. It's this and Wizard of Oz.
Okay, I was about to say I couldn't even name one, but I know of the Wizard of Oz.
And ironically, Wicked and the Snow White remake just came out. So
I like the Wicked remake.
it was. It's not a remake. It's just a whatever.
It was a musical.
Let's not get into an argument about it.
Let's not get into an argument.
So yeah, this is like a huge movie, and then like even when, back then before VHS home videos started, they would just re-release these movies. So like in 1945, I think was the first re-release after World War II of this movie.
They're really releasing it after like monumental times, like the Great Depression, World War II.
Yeah, but what I'm about to say is like they would re-release when they finally were releasing VHSs. That was kind of like considered risky at the time, that like people wouldn't go see the re-releases, so they kind of released like lesser movies, and they finally got to like the bigger ones, and they were like, oh, but we're not going to release Snow White because we don't want people to have access to that 24/7. They were like, this is like the golden child, like we're not doing that. And then
Snow White, fairest of them all.
and then when they finally did, it was like such a huge deal. I think it was like $70 to buy the VHS of that. I'm not
$70.
When VHSs first started coming out, they were $70. So yeah, so it's a huge movie, and I mean, I have nothing but respect for it. And
I feel like I have a newfound level of respect for Snow White. Like, obviously, like it was the first Enchanted I pulled, so like I loved her because of that. Because like it's not my favorite Disney character, I have to admit. But like
No.
now that like I'm learning all of these like facts about her, I have to admit like it's kind of changing my perspective on how monumental that Snow White was. So like that's why it's kind of sad on how bad they did the remake of it, or like why like
that's
the
why
remake
it's
got like
sad,
so
yeah.
like
Because like
bad reviews.
you really should have the president of Disney should have been at that set every day and been like, you guys better not screw this up. Like, because like
pretty
this
much
is so
this-
important.
and like this
honestly,
movie saved Disney almost
and
because
I
like
hate to say it, that should have been the one movie that he should have said, we're not doing this.
like remake.
We're
the
not
remake,
remaking
so
this.
That would have honestly been smart, especially because like it took them so long to even release like the VHS tape.
Yeah. Whatever. So anyway, obviously Snow White was a huge part of the theme parks, and like obviously you can meet her and the dwarves there.
I've seen her there, but I have not seen a dwarf in Disney.
They're in the parade. They're kind of hard to meet. The only ones you really ever see out normally are Dopey and Grumpy. Mm-hmm. And then the other ones are very rare. You can usually only meet them during Christmas and Halloween party.
Oh, interesting.
And then the first ride for Snow White, and it opened with Disneyland in 1955, was called Snow White's Adventures.
I went on that. It's really cute.
Oh, well, hold on. Because it opened as a scary, really scary ride. You didn't know this, did you?
No.
So it opened with Disneyland, Disney World, Tokyo, and Paris. Mm-hmm. And it was originally called Snow White's Adventures, and then they had to change the name to Snow White's Scary Adventure because of how scary it was for small children. I'm not joking you, this was probably the scariest ride at Disney World.
When did they change it?
They changed it in Disneyland like less than 4 years ago.
Oh, because I was about to say, when I went there in
I'm-
January, I was like, I thought it was so cute.
So originally, you played on all of these like dark rides, like Peter Pan, Snow White, Alice. You played the part of the main character, so you were Snow White, and you were running away from the witch. So
Kind
the-
of smart,
the-
but it's like a villain theme part.
So like a lot of people didn't get that, so they would go out to get off the ride and be like, "Well, where was Peter Pan?" And be like, and well, I had to go back and be like, change it to add like the character. So like, but when that ride, so personally, that ride traumatized my sister. She couldn't go walk past the building it was in without starting to cry. That ride, you would get on it. You would get on the little Snow White carts. The ride vehicle's the same. You would get on it.
I love that we're both like on like our cart.
And
We just we're in our
you
seats.
get on the cart, and each cart was named after a dwarf, and you always hoped for your favorite dwarf. And you would start off, and the witch would be there as the normal like young, and she would turn around like having like these arms over you right as you passed her, and she would be the old witch, and she'd be like "Rah!" right in your face,
Just like that? We have to clip
and
that.
then she clip it, and then she would basically be chasing you throughout the whole ride and trying to scare you. You saw the dwarves for like half a second, and the rest of the ride was all the witch. And it ended with the witch like there was a giant boulder above the door out, and she had like a thing trying to pry the rock onto you.
Oh my god.
So they basically knew it was too scary, unless you're in Paris or Tokyo, which it's still scary.
Oh, so that ride is still
That's
the same.
still there.
Okay, I have to definitely see this ride.
We could watch a video, or you could go.
Going.
And in Disney World, they closed this ride and made it we'll get to why, and they made it a princess meet and greet.
Okay.
And then in Disneyland, they were like, maybe we shouldn't have the scariest ride be a Snow White ride, and they made it very nice. And now
They did make it really nice.
Now it's a very cute ride with Snow White and the dwarves, and the witch briefly appears. Yeah, it was changed to Snow White's Enchanted Wish in Disneyland.
Yep.
Much nicer ride. And then in 2013 at Walt Disney World, the reason they closed the other ride, they opened Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, which is a roller coaster.
Oh, I love that.
It's a great ride, and this also opened in 2015 in Shanghai. It opened with the park. And this is probably one of the top 5 most popular rides at Disney World.
I would say that, yeah.
This ride,
The line is so long.
it's always like an hour or too long. You could be there on a dead day. This ride will have an hour wait.
Yes.
I don't know why.
It was a really good roller coaster.
It is.
It's like one of the better ones.
And it's across. I'm getting to why I'm saying this. It's so you'll line up like for rope drop, which is basically like before the park opens, they have a big rope there, and I always line up with the Snow White people because Winnie the Pooh's right across from it. I always have to do Winnie the Pooh first, and people like will stampede and like run each other over with their small children to run to Snow White. It's crazy.
Just to be on that ride because the
Because
line
like
gets so
if you
long.
don't get there, then you're waiting an hour, you're waiting 2 hours. It's kind of crazy. So yeah, so that ride's, but it's very fun. It's a very good ride. It's very good for little kids. And there's a scene where you go through the mines, and you see all animatronics of the dwarves. It's very cute.
Okay.
And yeah, that's it's over 10 years old. It's still getting lines like that, and that still happens every
I
day.
did not know it's over 10 years
Yeah, it's
old.
2013 it opened.
Wow.
And there's newer rides. There's Tron at the Magic Kingdom, which is like a really intense roller coaster, and that doesn't get as long lines. So
I think it's because like people like Disney adults love roller coasters. So like the fact that that's a roller coaster and more of like a thrill ride, I do feel like that gets a little bit more attraction.
I think it's because it's like a little kid roller coaster, so like little kids feel like they're brave for going on it, but it's really not like intense. But little kids will be like, "Oh, I'm going on a roller coaster," but like it's a good first roller coaster for if you're a little kid. You
I
know?
agree.
Yeah, but also if
It's
you're
not like it's King to
also
Claw.
if you're really like adults, like I don't know, 2 people, on this podcast. You also want to go on it.
You do.
So any age of people really just want to go on it.
But like, there is like no like Snow White themed food at these parks, right? That
You can get a
of?
candy apple that looks like the apple,
That's kind of cool.
which is cool.
I do like that.
That's appropriate.
For the poisoned apple.
The poisoned apple, yeah. There used to be a Snow White play at Disneyland briefly. That was actually a really good play. That's all I can think of.
Okay, so now I feel like we have to transition to talking about this week's Loracana news. They announced so many things on the Loracana news or the Loracana podcast that I feel like if you didn't know about it, this would be a great time for you to learn because we can break it down for you. One of the things that they announced is Worlds is closed, so only people that are contenders can go. That doesn't mean you can't go to a trip for Disney, but you won't be able to go into and see like your favorite player perform or like a family member perform, which is kind of sad because we have 2 members of the luxury Loracana team going, so we were always hoping that we can support them.
Oh, do you know anything about that? Mm-mm. Did they didn't give them any like communication?
No, because like they had to sign an NDA.
So they can't even tell people at this place.
Correct. So like there's no like telling people, like it's just like it's locked. Like they know and they're gonna perform. So that was really interesting, and like they also did announce that the second season will be announced at Worlds. And the
Yes.
Worlds dates is June 28th and June 29th. So very exciting. So at least we are gonna know that we're getting more information in about a month.
When does? Okay, so they talked about a lot about Fabled, which is the set 9. When does that set come out?
That comes out in
Like
September.
yes.
End of August,
Oh,
September.
I will be in Walt Disney World Resort when Fabled comes out.
That's
Huge
gonna be...
news that they did announce that. They said Ben will be there on the podcast.
Oh yeah, they did. They're like, alert the press, Ben's gonna be there.
So anyway, the reason I'm asking that is I think a month after Fabled is going to be the first DLC.
A month? I think it's gonna be sooner than that.
You think it's going to be sooner than that?
People are waiting. It will be then a year since we had a DLC.
I understand that.
I think
I
it
feel
has
like
to.
I feel like they're going to let the meta develop a little bit.
I don't know.
Okay.
I think 2 weeks after Fable,
I can see that.
not a month. But that's my predictions.
No, I don't think that because it comes out August at like this kind of store, and then 2 weeks after it comes out at like Target. Would they? I could maybe. I don't know. I'm not in
We'll
charge of this
see.
stuff.
And then they also did announce set rotation.
I'm interested in set rotation.
It's gonna be really cool. But the thing is that like you know how we showed you all of those Snow White cards, and there's some set 1 Snow White cards. You still use that set 1 Snow White card if there is already a reprint of that card out in Fable. So the set rotation is coming out in Fable.
I don't know if any of those cards, set 1 through 4, are getting rotated. I don't know if any of these Snow White cards are getting reprinted.
I'm just saying you can.
I know.
We
I'm just
showed you
saying.
a lot of those cards, so just to like give some background.
Yeah.
But yeah, so sets the first chapter, Floodborn, Inklands, and Ursula's Return will all be going away, and once Fable comes, and a lot of people think that a lot of people are sad, but at the same time, what the developers did tell us is that this is signs of like a very healthy game. So I guess this is like really like kind of showing like the future of Loracana, which is going to be really exciting to see. Like it means it's not going away, because like we all know how certain games like they're good for 2 years and then they slowly go down.
Yeah.
So they have so many. It was really nice to see how much plans they have for Loracana and like the future of it. Like they're really trying to cater to all markets. Like they have a collector box, they have just where you can just collect cards, they have like a competitive.
They're coming out with a new binder for collectors.
They have a casual play where now like I I forgot the most important thing. They announced 2 new rarities.
Oh yeah. Well,
Iconic, which is even more rare
are
than
you
an
now?
enchanted.
I gonna ask you a stupid question. Are you gonna try to get both iconics?
No.
What?
Okay, an iconic is like a manga in like one piece. So hard to get.
You
So,
think it's
like,
gonna be hard? You think it's what? How rare do you think it's gonna be?
like a manga.
I don't know how rare
Like-
that is.
1 in maybe every like 10 cases.
So you're still not. What if the next set they come out with a princess iconic?
We're gonna pray. We're gonna try to cross our
We're
toes
gonna
and
say.
fingers and just
We're
hope
gonna
that I get
say,
it.
Nicholas, break out that wallet. That's what we're gonna say.
And then they also announced Epic, which is in between Legendary and Enchanted.
And I was saying, I don't know if you
That
remember.
you did- you called
I
it.
said they should have a rarity that's lower than Enchanted because this is ridiculous. Opening 1,000 packs and not getting Enchanted. This is ridiculous.
You did call that. I do think so. Isn't a technically an epic card is like an alt art in Pokemon? That's like
Yeah,
the
it's
kind
more
of
like an
comparison.
illustration rare.
It's like an illustration rare. I don't know Pokemon, Christian. I thought you were looking at me about my Pokemon referencing.
Oh my god, people in the store are chastising us now.
So those are some new things that they announced, which is going to be very exciting, and I'm excited to pull them and like
Yes.
see like the different ones.
And they
like,
said there's gonna be 18 in the set.
18 epic cards.
I feel like-
2 iconic cards.
I feel like you could go for the set, 18.
Yeah, I'm not sure I want to. I think I might. Still
I'm not
stick
saying
with
you
the
want to,
Enchanted.
I'm just saying like it's an achievable goal. Collecting all the Enchanteds is like you might as well just go crazy.
It's like more. It's harder.
Yeah.
What else did they announce? They announced so many things.
Well, you didn't say the most important announcement of the whole day.
I was gonna let you.
You were gonna let me say it?
Of course.
They're coming out with an enchanted Pooh Honey Wizard.
How many are you gonna get?
5.
Why 5?
Because I have 1 on my shelf and I have 4 in my Pooh binder.
Oh my gosh.
Thank God it's an enchanted and not an iconic because I would still get 5.
You would still get 5 iconics.
Did I stutter?
Oh my gosh. He's gonna corner the market.
There is no market. It's Ben. Ben is the market.
So
They made that card for me. I'm convinced.
honestly, yeah, and they also did announce what the like. You know how we're in set champs right
Oh.
now? They announced what the next set champ is,
And
which
they
I thought that was
announced
cool.
they announced it enchanted just for you in the next set.
That Jasmine is so beautiful.
I saw that card and I said, "Oh, well, Allie's happy."
It's so beautiful. It's like not a want, but a need.
That's so much better than the last Jasmine, the new one.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so, like, the artwork is spectacular.
Yes, it's a great card.
But, like, there's just so many new announcements that, like, it's kind of, like, you were a little overwhelmed, but, like, they put
It's so many new that I'm forgetting them.
I know, but
Like,
they
really?
did like state it in a way that it was fun. You were like entertained by them. They put on a show for you, so that was also nice to see how much time and energy they put into the game.
Also, they announced that Goofy movie cards are coming.
Powerline.
Which Louisa, our friend, is
Yeah.
like ecstatic about. That's what she's been asking.
That's gonna
for.
be awesome.
Those are gonna be cool.
So like they also are like hearing what we're saying. So
Yeah.
like eventually like.
Which
they're-
means that if I keep asking for irrelevant cards from the theme park, they will make them eventually.
Eventually. Exactly. So what are we gonna talk about next week, Ben? Did we discuss it?
Well, do you want to do the mem cards?
Yeah, let's do the memes.
We're gonna do Sword in the Stone next week.
Okay, so make sure you guys stay tuned.
Tuned, get it? Cartoon.
Okay, bye guys.
Bye.
Thank you.